Two men get in a stabbing match, and they're naked.
Man steals 50 cars in one day for his 16 girlfriends. Romantic.
Sri Lanka bans drunk driving of elephants.
Man finds ladybug in his colon.
Boat sinking walrus gets free couch.
Ethan's wife went to the ER after getting the vaccine, but it's totally safe.
And for something a little on the lighter side, we're going to talk about free will and the problem of evil with Dr. Thaddeus Williams. All this and more on
The Bee Weekly.
The bee or not the bee? That is the question I ask myself every morning as I drink from my the bee or not the bee mug. Now you too can drink from this amazing coffee cup and ask yourself the same question. Which is better? It's so hard to decide. In fact, I would say it's absolutely the Babylon Bee, but not the Bee's pretty cool too. Enjoy this mug.
Well, we're here with Dr. Williams, Dr. Thaddeus Williams.
What's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc?
You know, it's good to be back for what's definitely only the second time I've been on the show.
Only the second time.
Yeah.
There's definitely
There's not a third secret episode.
Never happened.
That
We'll never see the light of
never see
day.
the light of day.
Right.
Although it's on a few thousand people's iPods somewhere, or do people still use iPods? I don't know.
Hey, as a doctor, can you do vaccine exemptions?
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
My wife needs one.
No problem. Is she okay, man? I saw
No,
your,
I mean, it's the only thing. It's mostly just scary. My wife went to, so I guess this could be what happened this week. My wife went to get her vaccine, and everything's fine. You know, they have you sit there for like 15 minutes, make sure you're fine. She was fine. She got back in the car. She was leaving, and then all of a sudden her heart just started like racing. So she went back, and they put her in the ER, and she was in there for a while, like a few hours, and it kept going super high and then super low, and nothing like this has ever happened to my wife. She's one of like the healthiest people on earth. But it was scary for a while. I'm like texting her, and she's not replying, and I don't know what's going on. And so in that moment of passion, I tweeted about it and said, you know, my wife's in the ER, heart issues after taking the vaccine. But of course, it's totally safe, and you're only a conspiracy theorist if you say otherwise. And that tweet is probably the biggest tweet I ever tweeted, and the amount of response that I got from that, and then she posted on Next Door about it. We've been getting all these messages from local people, a lot of private messages, people saying like, I don't want to say this publicly. My family would disown me. Like, I had side effects from the vaccine. Like, it's just this crazy thing that kind of exploded through this experience. So she's fine now, except she's trying to get out of getting the second shot, and like, it's like she's like getting blocked. Is she here? All right. Well, on the phone, we don't usually do phone, but you know, my wife is a busy woman. She's juggling 4 children, and she has a job. And but we've had this crazy experience I just told you about. So Jess, I just told them about how the whole issue, what happened in the ER, and how we've kind of talked about it publicly and the response. So I don't know where we want to go from there. I was just starting to talk about how you're trying to get that second shot and the kind of barriers you're running into.
Yeah, so I'm a nurse, and I work in California, and I fit under the category of healthcare workers that are being mandated to get the COVID vaccine by September 30th. So I have kind of a complex medical situation that involves a lot of autoimmune disorders. So originally when the vaccine was offered, I was hesitant because of my personal immune system and my complex medical history. So I'm 39 years old. Yeah, that too. I mean, you can put words in my mouth if you need to. It's okay. So I'm 39 years old, and Ethan can attest to the fact that I take very good care of myself.
He's like the opposite of me.
Unlike him, yeah.
Yeah, basically. So I take very good care of myself because my body is like wacky. My immune system is really wacky. So at my young age of 39, I already have a rheumatologist, an allergist, immunologist, and an endocrinologist. So before getting the shot, I checked with all 3 of them, and all of their response was, because you're at such a high risk of exposure, you should get the shot. It wasn't like, based on your medical history and everything going on in your body, we feel confident that you'll be okay with getting this shot. It was just, because you're at such a high risk of exposure, you should get the shot. So last week, I went to my hospital. I got the first dose. Within about 10 to 15 minutes, my heart started racing up to like 150. I felt short of breath. I had like pressure and pain in my chest, and I felt very dizzy. So I was actually taken by wheelchair from the vaccine clinic to emergency room, and I spent the next day there. I spent the rest of the day there, just with them monitoring my heart and doing EKGs, and they did a bunch of labs. They rolled out pretty much any of the other common, things that could have caused me to feel these symptoms. Everything else came back normal. The only thing was that I had just got the COVID vaccine. So through my hospital, it's being handled as a workman's comp. So I've been following up with workman's comp doctors through my hospital, which I'm actually really happy with the way the hospital has handled it. I feel like they have tried to take care of me. But I've seen 2 doctors through employee health. Both of them told me that they were documenting it as a vaccine reaction. The doctor I saw yesterday even told me that she wouldn't advise getting the second dose because typically reaction to the second dose is worse than whatever reaction you had to the first dose. And through my own research, I have discovered that there's a correlation between the vaccines, especially the Pfizer vaccine, and cardiac complications like arrhythmias, tachycardia, which I had. And these can be long-term. Like people can develop arrhythmias. They're asking their doctors, is this because of the vaccine? I just got the vaccine a month ago. Now suddenly I have a new arrhythmia. And their doctors are telling them, we don't know. It's too soon to know. We don't know. Other doctors are telling them, this is the type of thing that could cause you to develop an arrhythmia. But we don't know. It's too soon to know. So,
But take it.
When I saw go ahead.
But take it anyway.
Exactly. So when I saw the doctor yesterday, I asked her, I have the form. I got the form from my hospital. Literally all they have to do is check the box that says, I authorize a medical exemption and sign it. There's no special wording. It's all there. It's a pre-made form. Neither one of the employee health doctors would touch it. They said, this needs to be signed by a doctor who knows your medical history, who knows you as a whole, your labs, your history, all of this stuff. Okay, so even though this doctor yesterday advised me I wouldn't get the second shot, she still wouldn't sign the form. So today, I spent my morning calling all of my specialists and all of my doctors, and my allergist immunologist flat out said, I will not sign exemption forms ever, under any circumstances. I asked the office,
bizarre.
can this be done on a case-by-case basis? I said, I've already tried the shot once. I had a bad reaction. If I come in and meet with her, will she change her mind? I'll bring the form to the office, anything. And I'm not talking directly to the doctor. I'm talking to, the MA or the receptionist or whatever. And she told me, this is what we've been trained to say. We do not offer medical exemptions to the COVID-19 vaccine. She said, the doctor will not authorize delay. She won't authorize exemptions. That's what we've been trained to say.
That's so bizarre.
So I went through the whole case. Like, I'll meet with her. I'll bring the form. She can do. And what she told me was, we will give you an appointment so that the doctor can help you deal with the side effects of the vaccine. But she still won't sign the form.
Huh.
Even if I'm having side effects and reactions that are so bad and long-standing that I need to go see her to deal with them medically, she still won't sign the form.
It's more business for them, right?
What's that?
It's more business for them if you have more side effects.
I guess. So I have a call out
Shut up,
in my rheumatologist's office. My rheumatologist's office said the same thing. They said he will not sign exemption forms. So I made basically an impassioned plea to his assistant. And she's like, okay, I'm going to talk to him on your behalf. I'll call you back. I'm waiting for a call back. I talked to my endocrinologist's office. I'm still waiting for them to call me back. So there's hope that one of these doctors may take pity on me and sign it. But from the
I'm a
rheumatologist
doctor.
and the
I could
allergist,
probably sign
We
it.
are sitting here with a doctor of theology or something.
Yeah, that counts. And as a
a
doctor,
doctor of mystic science.
something like that. But I do have a few medical questions. When your heart pace started racing, was Ethan in close proximity, not wearing a shirt?
He was not.
Okay.
She probably has pictures on her
sir,
phone,
They
though.
ruled out all other causes of the tachycardia. Okay?
Was a television on
Were you watching Dawson's
with Joe
Creek
Biden speaking?
or- yeah, something. Watching
no
Pirates of the
other
Caribbean. I don't know. I'm
reasonable
just
explanation. There's no
That
other
was the main-
reasonable explanation.
The main thing people said online was like, oh, she has anxiety because she's a Trump tart and she's afraid of the vaccine, so she went in already scared. But like you said, you were fine for a while after you took it, and you were
Yeah.
You're an RN. You're around this stuff all the time. And
No, what happened was I took the vaccine. I sat in the clinic and got monitored for 10 minutes, which by monitored means they look at you. They don't, they don't
stare
hook
at
you
you.
up with medical equipment.
She looks
And
good.
then they told me, "Oh, you're good. You're free to go."
Turn around.
And I was like, I left the vaccine clinic going like, "Yay!" Like they were all laughing at me because I was like, I had my arms in the air because I was like, "I did it. I got it, and I didn't die, and I'm fine." So I left like super happy. I was like, I got my vaccine card. I got my vaccine. I can move on with my life. I didn't have a reaction. So I get out to my car and I'm sitting there just sending a few text messages before I leave, completely alone, completely calm, happy that I had already just been able to get the vaccine and not have a reaction.
and
that's
keep your
when-
job.
Yeah, to keep my job. And that's when my heart started racing. It wasn't anything to do with anxiety. I know 100% it wasn't anything to do with anxiety. But at this point, I also got an appointment to meet with my primary doctor, who I've never seen because I see all these specialists all the time. So I got an appointment with him, but his first available was September 27th. And I have to have the form signed by September 30th or I will get fired. So I'm like up to the wire with this. If my endocrinologist says no and if the rheumatologist says no, that's like my final hope is that the primary will sign it.
So any doctors out there want to help us out?
I'm on it.
Do you have any other side effects? Do you pick up a better 5G signal? Do you find Bill Gates attractive? Anything like that?
None of the above.
Do you find yourself more or less Calvinist?
Wow. Man.
Wow.
You were mentioning, I had no idea about this. You said pediatricians are only allowed to do 4 exemptions. Is that, where'd you hear that? That's crazy to me that no matter what, they can only do 4.
You know what? I would have to search for the source of that, but I've been reading a lot of articles about people like me who have legitimate reactions to the vaccine. And there's like a fund set up for people who are injured by what we will call the childhood vaccines, like the MMR, the Tdap, all of those ones, the varicella, that kids get to go into school. So there's a fund set aside where people can they can report an adverse reaction. It's called VAERS. It's Vaccine Adverse, Event Recording. And they're collecting VAERS data for the COVID-19 vaccine. But, despite the data, they're still pushing it forward, and now Pfizer has a full FDA approval. So anyway, what I have been reading is that, and this is from like reputable news sources, the people who are injured by the COVID-19 vaccine are not entitled to as much compensation. For a while, they weren't entitled to any compensation, but now they're not entitled to as much compensation as a person who's injured by like the MMR vaccine or something. It's like a separate fund that they're, you use that money to like pay for your medical bills and pay for, some people can't work because of the effect that the vaccines had on them. So, they could use that work to compensate for lost wages or whatever. But in one of those articles, it was talking about, I believe that's where I saw that pediatricians can only write 4 exemptions for, I don't know if it's per year. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but I don't know. That's what that was the information that I had, that they don't want these doctors who are like naturopathic or something just going around signing everybody's vaccine exemptions for school, for the kids to get into school. So they have to like cap the exemptions that they can sign, so make sure that they're legit or something, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's wild. We're not an anti-vax family. I mean, Jess was like pushing me to get this vaccine even after she had the bad effects. So it's not a
Especially
thing.
after.
Yeah.
Well, when Calvin turned 4, which was a couple weeks ago, he got 4 separate shots, and 3 of them were the combo shots. And the doctor's like, "You want him to get them all?" And I'm like, "Do it." I vaccinate all 4 of our kids are fully vaccinated. I get the flu shot every year. A lot of my hesitation about this vaccine was completely personal because my body's jacked. I have a really weird immune system. And furthermore, as I already listed off all these specialists that I see, I just added 2 of those specialists to my life in the last year because I have progression of symptoms. And when I did my testing through the allergist, they did a lot of expensive testing, and blood work and pricked my back 150 times and the whole nine. When I went in for my follow-up, they had me set up to see the physician's assistant. And he told me, your case is so complex, I don't even feel comfortable discussing this with you. I'm going to have the actual doctor discuss this with you. So, like, that's how messed up my immune system is. It's not political for me. It's my own personal body that is messed up. And I have pain in my joints all the time. My blood sugar, it goes haywire for no reason. I have a lot of issues with food. My diet's very restricted. And, for me, that's what it was about, was knowing my body. My body is very sensitive. I've had diabetes for almost 30 years. I've had type 1 diabetes for almost 30 years. And I know my body really well. I can tell when my blood sugar's going up, and just being inside my body like I am, I didn't feel like this was a good idea for me personally to get this vaccine. That doesn't mean I don't think anybody else should get it. And I know these type of reactions are rare. They're very rare. When I talked to the employee health nurse, she told me I'm one of about 20 employees to have this type of tachycardia reaction. And there's probably 3,000 employees overall throughout my whole hospital system. So that's very rare. But it happened to me. And now I can't find a doctor to sign the medical exemption. So if I can't find a doctor to sign the medical exemption, my understanding is that I will lose my job.
Yeah, I don't know if you ventured onto Twitter when Ethan tweeted about this. Hopefully you were smart enough not to, but
I did not. I don't even look at Twitter.
You're smart. My wife doesn't either.
I don't even know how to look at Twitter.
The wives are smarter than we are, but it's bizarre because you say, hey, my wife actually had this reaction to it. And all the responses are like, medical misinformation. This is harmful. This is, and you're like, this is actually what happened. I'm not.
Well, there's a crazy variety. I mean, there's a ton of people talking about their side effects or people they know,
right.
And there's people saying it's misinformation, and then there's people saying it's there's a bunch of side effects, but it's for the greater good, and it's worth the less people will die from the vaccine or something. They're making this mathematical equation.
The needs of the many.
Your forecast of the deaths
few.
were so great on COVID. I'm sure you're going to do a great job of forecasting the deaths.
Or they say, what I've heard from a couple people is, well, if the vaccine did that to you, just imagine what real COVID
Oh,
would
yeah,
do.
I've heard that one, too. It's a good thing you got that one. Because,
I'm like 99% sure that I actually already had COVID back before testing was available. And I couldn't even go get tested. It wasn't available. But, yeah, I put up a post on a neighborhood app that we use and just said, hey, just curious, did anybody else have a reaction like this? Because you look over the CDC's website, it doesn't say anything about tachycardia or arrhythmias. So I was just like, hey, I'm pretty sure this is happening to other people, but can anybody just share their personal story with me? And a lot of people started sharing, like, this is what happened to my brother-in-law, this is what happened to me, this is what happened to, for the most part, it was like close family members or the person themselves posting. And I was like, wow, gathering a lot of information. People were very supportive. And then within about 24 hours, the vaccine police had found the post. And there was 2 people in particular combing through, there was like almost 200 responses on the post.
And this is just
combing
our neighborhood.
Through the responses going, that didn't happen. You're lying. Why are you lying? Like replying individually to certain people, sharing their personal experience. And then the one guy said something about, you're all idiots. It was just anxiety. Why? Well, first, after he diagnosed me, first he said it was psychosomatic and I have anxiety. So after he diagnosed me with anxiety, then he blasted me for looking for a medical diagnosis online because I shouldn't be looking. But he was kind enough to provide me with a medical diagnosis online before blasting me.
This once,
yeah. Just once. But yeah, and then the other lady was going, one of the other ladies was going, you're scaring people away from getting the vaccine. And I hope you're happy when all these people die. So I eventually just shut down comments on the post. I left it up so people could read it because it's valid information. But I shut down comments because it was just upsetting me and it was getting so nasty that I was just like, I can't put any more time and energy into this right now.
People get in fights on Nextdoor about like where you put your trash cans on the street. So it doesn't surprise me that a vaccine post.
You should see the posts about leaving dog poop.
Oh yeah, it's wild.
People are like about to shank each other over the dog poop post.
I like the post where they just took a picture of like a Mexican guy walking by the house.
Oh,
They're
all the
like,
time.
Have you seen this guy? He was walking by my house.
We lived in a really like white area in San Diego, and we got that all the time. Like people posting like, "Do you know what these two kids are doing?" You know, they're just like hanging out playing basketball or something. They're bouncing
Were
this
they
orange
posting
sphere
pictures
around.
Were they posting pictures of you, Kyle?
Yes.
When you had your mustache?
Yeah. Well, that's understandable because I looked like a pedophile.
Looks past
When
it.
Yeah, past
you had the hairdo that you had in your engagement photos.
Okay, let's put that
Let's
up
put that picture up.
on the screen, please. Well, that's enough out of you. Jess, thanks for joining us. This is
Yeah.
a conspiracy theorist,
Yep,
Jess
thank
Nicole.
you.
Thank you.
Alex Jones, correspondent.
Alex
Soon to be canceled.
Yeah, all right. It was fun being married. I'll have to decide what to do when the government comes and makes me decide if I want to live or stand by you.
Yeah. All right.
But, thank
I'll
you.
probably be the first. I'll probably be the first to die. So
Yeah,
you're gonna have to decide. We have to decide whether we want me to live or whether we want me to keep my job.
that's true.
Well, I'm a doctor.
That's a
I'll sign
tough
your
choice.
paperwork.
So
Problem
really
we'll
solved.
talk
tough
about
choice.
it we'll talk about it when you get home tonight. We'll make like a pros and cons list. We'll
All
figure
right.
it out.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right, love you.
Bye, guys.
All right. Love you.
Bye. Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
Just met you. Love you.
It's
I'm
crazy
thrilled
though,
bound.
right? It's like a can of worms. I'm just like, I never
Bound by
thought we'd get in the
thrills.
middle of this vaccine thing.
The whole like greater good thing. I think that's the framework that I see this through. That it's so interesting. Where you're saying like, here's an individual who's actually hurting because of this thing, and you're not
Yeah, and
making a broad
I know
statement
her
about
well,
it, right?
right?
Yeah.
She's very rational. This is not like, you see those, some people that are like freak out at anything. You're like, oh, well, of course they freaked out, but
It reminds me, maybe this is a reach, but it reminds me of the C.S. Lewis quote from Screw Tape Letters where he's talking about push the human's emotions out to care about the people out there, but when they actually encounter a person, don't make them love that person. You know?
Right.
It's like,
Exactly.
that's kind of how it feels. That's exactly it. Thank
exactly.
you.
Doctor
Nailed it.
theology
Dr.
here.
Theology gave it the thumbs
You
up.
got my stamp of approval.
He signed off my exemption. Okay, my
right,
C.S.
well.
Lewis quote exemption. All right, well, we also want to give a shout out to our graphic artist, A.J. Powers. His dad, Bill Powers, is 75 years old tomorrow, this Saturday, depending on when you listen to this. So, yeah.
Congratulations on 75 years of being AJ's dad.
And he described his dad as a tank,
A tank.
that all these like health issues keep getting shot at him, and he just pings them all off of him. So
I want to also just congratulate AJ. You guys are going to see a video. It's probably going to be out by the time this comes out. But
Oh,
we did
yeah,
a
that's
robot
right.
video. We interviewed the Tesla bot, and he did the special effects on, or at least the robot. I think
he 3D designed the robot.
He designed it and animated it, and it looks. It's our most high tech video we've done so far. It's amazing.
Yeah, and those videos come together so fast that we are sitting here going.
We did it a day or whatever, a day and a half.
Came up with the idea. Our author or screenwriter Ehrlich Wheatstein goes, let's write the script. He writes it in an hour. We say, hey, how are we going to make a robot? Call AJ. He makes a robot. And
Yep.
it's just insane.
Like
Is
we
it-
had most of that video done by the end of that day.
I was like,
it was
yeah.
written that day.
4 or 5 hours. It's done and edited
Yeah.
and
Is
ready.
it higher tech than the baguette bread hand Jeopardy?
It's just a little. It's up. It's at that level.
Oh yeah, when his hand was cut off in
Yes,
that video,
the
and
nubs.
we used baguettes.
Baguettes.
Did we ever say that? Did we ever show behind the scenes how that's baguettes?
It might be in the. If
of
you're a
the-
subscriber, you get outtake stuff.
If you're a paid subscriber on the Babylon Bee site, you get some behind the scenes stuff. So maybe that's
Yeah, we
on
put
there.
out like a monthly, I think, just a bunch of outtakes videos that are great.
Yeah. Hey, we have a subscriber dare today.
This is Subscriber Dare.
This is an easy one.
Yeah.
Alex Slater says, this year I'm turning 18 and I want to subscribe to the Babylon Bee as a birthday present to myself. But first I need to hear Ethan and Kyle wish me a happy birthday and share stories from way back when they were 18. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. God bless Alex. Happy birthday, Alex Slater.
It's a young listener we got there.
18,
He's
man.
17 right now, right? He's going to be 18? He's turning 18. Man.
It's like 50 years ago.
Yeah, so long ago.
So I might have told this story on the podcast before, but
Only psychopaths listen to every episode.
that's true. And it might have been in the subscriber only portion.
could be.
But my girlfriend through all high school, she broke up with me. She dumped me
All of high school.
right after I turned 18. Was about to go off in the world.
I always thought your wife was your first girlfriend, but I guess I got that wrong.
Well, because when you
wait.
have a girlfriend in high school, it's kind of like,
Doesn't count.
I mean, I was a Christian kid. I wasn't like going out on dates and like,
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, there she is.
Do you hold hands or anything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But like, she broke up with me, and I was playing X-Men Legends on the GameCube at the time, and I was way into X-Men Legends, a super awesome action RPG. And she goes, "We need to talk." I'm like, "Okay, talk."
Like while you're playing.
And I just and as it goes on, she's like, "I really need to." Okay, go ahead. And I'm still playing. And then at the end, I'm like looking at her, and I'm still playing. I'm like, "Did you just break up with me?" She's like, "Yeah." And then she goes, "It's like kind of awkward." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I keep playing, and she's like, "Can you give me a ride home?" And I'm like, "All right." And that was that.
That was it, huh?
That was it.
How long was the relationship?
4 years.
Oh my god.
4 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
All high school.
That's longer than a lot of marriages.
Yeah, all high school, and then I don't know, 4 or 5 months later, and that summer I met my wife.
Wow.
That was it. So,
Did you meet while you're still playing X-Men Legends?
Did you
and I was still playing the same
like, she
session
Proposed to your
me?
wife during
while
the same
playing
round
X-Men
of...
Legends. It became a thing. Yeah,
Hey, we married.
all major life events.
Yeah.
Play
that's
X-Men
good.
Legends for.
I think I was 18 when this happened. And I can't remember if I told the story, but I told Kyle and he said he didn't remember it. So there was a girl that I had a crush on at that age, and I was convinced that like she was very shy and quiet. She was a very good Christian girl, farm girl, lived out in the country, very traditional family. And I had asked her out once, and she had kind of turned me down in a very nice way, but kind of, when the way nice girls turn you down is like they leave an opening because they don't understand they need to just cut you off.
You need to be strong.
Yeah. So I felt like I had this opening still, and I talked to my roommate, who's this like hippie surfer guy, who wouldn't buy toilet paper. He'd wipe his butt with anything in sight. So I'd have to like.
Wait, let's go back to that story.
So yeah, that was the other part of it. You know what? I might not have been 18, but we're still going to tell this story because I just remembered I wasn't 18 when I lived with him.
Oh, that's okay.
But so he convinced me that like she's really traditional. I bet if you asked her for her father's permission first, and then I got convinced that that's what I should do. So like I found their phone number and I like called her dad up. He's like this very quiet, bearded man, farmer guy, very serious.
I can't listen.
I just asked. I was like, "Hey, I'm a friend of your daughter's. I'd like her a lot. I just wanted to ask her on a date, but I wanted to get your permission first." And he laughed at me and he thought like that was hilarious. And he's like, "She can do whatever she wants, man. She's 18. I guess if you want to try. I don't know. She doesn't seem like she's dating much." And sure enough, that didn't work. So
Wait, so then you asked her out?
I think she got back to me.
She through her dad?
Yeah. She I think,
like,
I heard
no
what you said to my
thanks.
dad, and no, I still don't want to go on a date with you.
Can you tell her that I like her? That I have a crush on her?
Is that when you first kissed dating goodbye?
Was that the first
That
time?
was when I was I was questioning it. So I had kissed it back, yeah. It was around that age.
Yeah, I went through a phase after the Josh Harris book came out of basically doing everyeverything that dating was, but calling it courting.
You have to call it courting.
It made me feel so
That's all that
way
book.
so righteous.
That's all
really
that
all
book
it
did for
did,
me
right?
as well. Courting. And now I'm an atheist. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have a story from when you were 18?
An 18-year-old story? Man,
You were hanging out with
these are
Linkin
all
Park.
like romance, like girlfriend themed. I made my first girlfriend uber conservative, solid Christian girl. We dated like, I want to say 6 months before we even kissed, that kind of thing. And so all this like suspense built up. And so I leave her house one night and kiss her, and she called me back 5 minutes later in tears.
Oh, no. You defiled
I
me.
made her just weep from my kiss because it's probably not worth sharing. I'll leave it at that. But let me do a little more, just quick, redemptive 18-year-old story. I'm in Nepal, missions trip. We got a boat in this lake called Lake Pokhara.
Yeah.
And me and my friend Layla decide, hey, we're going to jump out and tip our friend's boat. That would be fun. So we do, and it just sinks to the bottom of this lake. It just disappears into the darkness. And so we had rented the boats, and now we all pile into one, pull up to shore, and there's all these Nepali like fishermen and sailors hanging out just laughing at the stupid Americans.
Yeah.
Like, bah, you sunk a boat, you morons. And so my friend Dan, who was leading the worship trip, was like, what? They're all here. Why don't we just share the gospel with them? And I'm like, yeah, we just proved we're complete idiots by sinking their boat. Now, like, we've won the credibility points. Let's share the good news of Jesus.
The boat is like man's attempt at taking care of his own sin.
Yeah, there's an
Make an
analogy
analogy
there.
there, yeah.
There's
Illustration.
so many sermon illustrations.
We did that on purpose to illustrated.
Now that I have your attention.
Your $200 boat at the bottom of the lake. Let's talk about depravity. So anyway, we did. We hung out and shared the gospel for about 45 minutes, and a dude got saved. There's the sovereignty of God for you right there. A couple idiot Americans sinking a boat.
Wow.
And it's a
Lost a
divine
boat, saved a
appointment.
man.
There you go.
Title of your book and speaking tour. All right, you guys.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Alex
birthday, Alex Slater.
Yay.
And let's do some weird news.
Oh, whoa, Kyle, your shirt just suddenly changed. Crazy.
Yeah. I'm going to a Padres game after this.
Oh, cool. Is that a sport?
Yeah, it is a sport.
Oh.
Yeah, they play the stick ball.
Okay, with the stick in the ball.
Yeah, it's like cricket.
With red threads in the wall.
That's the one.
That's the one. Okay.
But the problem is, all the good seats are in the vaccinated section.
Oh.
So, but I don't want to get vaccinated because I don't want to grow a third arm. So I'm going to wear my I identify as vaccinated T-shirt.
Guaranteed to work in any situation.
Guaranteed, 100% or your money back.
So what I love about this shirt is that we work very hard on our jokes at Babylon Bee and our one joke.
Well, yeah,
And this is our one joke. And it's been honed down to this.
This is the final form.
The final form.
of the joke.
Have you monetized it before, or is this your first merchandise
This
based
is our
on
first
this
merch.
joke?
And we spend a lot of
Congratulations.
time trying to come up with good merch. And then our CEO was like, hey, you should just do a shirt that says identify as vaccinated. We did it, and it's like,
It just sold like crazy.
Nice.
made all of our money for this month
Yeah.
just on this shirt.
Yeah, but they're
So-
still available.
Shop.babylonbee.com. Check it out.
It's already being pirated by other companies and sold.
This logo has been stolen and sold all over the place, but buy the official one.
Yeah.
You can go anywhere you need to go. We have one's for men, one's for women, one's
We got
agender,
coffee mugs, everything.
hats, everything you need.
Face
And
mask.
if you're a premium Babylon
That'd
Bee
be good,
subscriber,
man.
you
Yeah,
have a
it was a
discount
mask.
too.
Sorry.
Dang it, Ethan. If you're a premium Babylon Bee subscriber, you have a discount on your email that you can use. Discount code.
Discount code.
So,
Don't discount that.
anyway.
Okay.
This news is weird.
I can't even read this headline.
You want me to take it for you?
I got. Nude man stabs second nude man in Seattle. So this is the thing that happened.
So it's a Tuesday in Seattle.
Or as they call it in Seattle, Tuesday. Zing.
Just after 8 a.m. So these are some early bird nudists. Or they were up all night. But it's 8 a.m.
What's the usual time for being nude? Is
Nude
that
stabbing, I'd assume that'd be like 11 p.m.
afternoon,
or something.
yeah,
Like late
evening.
night.
That
That's a
does
late
seem more
night
of a-
activity.
Yeah, it does seem
Not a
more
crack
like
of the
that.
morning, like he just got his Einstein bagel and he's out there.
Yeah.
All right, shine up the old stabbing knife. See if I can find another naked guy. Hey, there can be only one naked guy in this town.
There's like a sign on the. There's a sign now in Seattle like no nude stabbings before 11 p.m. Well, that's the-
One witness had already taken the victim to the hospital before the police arrived. Other witnesses told the police the other man was last seen around the corner, where police found him at the entrance to an apartment building with what appeared to be a self-inflicted wound to his neck.
Wait, he stabbed himself?
Apparently, after stabbing the other dude, he lost a significant amount of blood, was unresponsive, supplied medical aid.
This
Boom.
could be like a thing where you go jogging at a certain time of day and it's great, and then suddenly someone else decides to jog at the exact same time, and they're like,
Oh, yeah,
it
naked
ruins your
jogging is huge out there.
your solitude. So he's like, this is his time to go out and be naked in Seattle, and suddenly this other naked guy is out there making that his naked time,
Yeah.
stabbing.
Hey, I had the 5 a.m. slot.
Yeah,
George.
this is my route.
What else we got here?
British police unveil new Pride-themed hate crime cars. So the British police have had a fabulous rainbow makeover. You may have even seen a rainbow-colored hate crime car patrolling your neighborhood if you're in the UK. Julie Crook, the LGBT plus lead for the National Police Chiefs Council, says the cars are necessary to raise awareness of hate crime. So I guess the basic idea of these cars is that there's not enough people reporting hate crime, so they think if they put rainbows over their cars, then suddenly a bunch of people are going to come out of the woodwork and report all these crimes that they, in
Yeah.
theory, are sure
So-
are out there.
Gay guy gets beat up. He's walking down the street. I really shouldn't
Normal cop
report
car.
this. And then a rainbow car goes by, and he's like, "I'm going to call them."
I think
I
they're
guess
just
it's a-
really into the Noahic covenant. And
Yeah,
they're just
they're
celebrating
supporting
that God
them.
will no longer flood the earth. That's all.
So this was actually a this was a prophecy fulfilled from the Babylon Bee. We did an article where the police are replaced with this rainbow VW bus, and they just drive around singing "Imagine." And we also had our animation where the cops end up replaced because they get defunded and they replace their squad cars with clown cars.
Oh, yeah,
So double prophecy fulfilled.
The weirdest thing to me is that it's based on a crime that they don't have they don't have evidence that like it's rampant, but like it's like we think it secretly is rampant. So this is
It's not reported.
We got to draw them out of the woodwork.
It's like if there's some other crime like
How would you
ferret kidnapping or something.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's reporting ferret kidnapping.
Yeah, ferret rights. Well,
Have a
that's
big
weird.
ferret
We don't
car.
think ferrets are like gay people.
Just to be clear.
Well,
Well, some are
There could
probably,
be
but
some
there's also
gay people who are like
heterosexual ferret-like people.
ferrets. That's true.
Yeah.
It has
All
nothing
right.
to do with
More
orientation.
weird news. I'm cutting you guys off. It's going nowhere.
Go ahead, Thaddeus.
Racehorse Bucks rider escapes racetrack and is found running down the highway. Dun, dun, dun. Also survives barn fire?
Yeah, on the same day. I was looking at I looked the story up and found that had been left out. It also survived a barn fire like 2 hours later.
By the way,
2-year-old racehorse, bold and bossy,
That's his
startled onlookers on Saturday afternoon when she bucked her jockey and ran off the track. This would have been her racing debut in Kentucky. Bold and bossy soon found an exit and ran away down Interstate 69.
I think they were startled by a
Four-lane
horse
highway.
named Bold and Bossy doing this. Its name is Bold and Bossy.
I also just want to pause and say I want bucked her jockey to be a
Bucked her
phrase
jockey?
of some kind. Really,
I also
bucked my
think that'd be a
jockey.
good name for or a style of A1 steak sauce. Bold and Bossy.
Well, yeah, that would be good.
Or like a 90s punk band, like, never mind.
Or a podcast.
Bucked her jockey.
I'm Bold and this is Bossy.
Bold and bossy. And this is bucking your
Opening
jockey.
up for slick shoes tonight.
That's actually-
An unknown hero rescued Bold and Bossy and 6 other horses from the burning barn. What is happening? They said the
That's
horse
later.
was taken to
After they rounded it up, the car blocked it in. They got the horse back. They put it in a barn, and then the barn started on fire, and an unknown hero rescued the horse.
Well, there you go. Bold and Bossy.
And it was in Rood and Riddle Hospital. Bold and Bossy was in Rood and Riddle. Cool.
Confusing.
The rescuer was a mystery. That's going to be a theme. There's more mysteries in the later stories here.
LA Times has called California gubernatorial candidate Larry Elder the black face of white supremacy. Black man Larry Elder, conservative radio host.
Grew up in like South Central.
So this, I love the title of this op-ed. Larry Elder is the black face of white supremacy. You've been warned.
You've been warned. There's so many good. Like this next line. I fully agree with this line. It says, "I won't lie," wrote Erica Smith. "Few things infuriate me more than watching a black person use willful blindness and cherry-picked facts to make overly simplistic arguments that whitewash the complex problems that come along with being black in America."
You could take that
is
either way, right?
Yeah, you can take that either way.
And the race is like irrelevant there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just when people do that.
When you just make this whole cherry-picking facts, that seems like it's
just
been a big issue.
Just take out like the black from there. A few things infuriate me more than watching a person use blindness
Exactly.
and facts to make an overly simplistic point. Like you're like, oh yeah, I agree with that, but they have to like insert all this race stuff and they slant it to there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess she's saying I like when people who aren't
Yeah, it's like
for the right reasons use willful blindness and cherry pick facts to make overly simplistic arguments and whitewash the complex
that
problems.
accidental racism there. I think.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Okay.
crazy. When I did
Clear it up.
the Confronting Injustice book, there's
Oh,
several.
you made a book? Oh.
I did. Hey, smooth transition. Now, my last book, Confronting Injustice, I have Sam Say, Monique Duson, several brothers and sisters of color who added their voice. And what I keep hearing back from so many of them is, man, the kind of racism that comes their way just by questioning the leftist narrative is insane. Just daily, whether it's Uncle Tom or Oreo for being black on the outside and white on the inside. That's
The black faces of white supremacy right there.
There it is.
Well, cool.
Yeah. Wait, whose turn is it? Mine?
Yep.
I'm always the one who can't remember whose turn it is. Man steals over 50 luxury cars to satisfy his 16 girlfriends.
The weird thing to me is that's not an even number of.
Yeah, that's like some demanding. You hooked up with 16 very demanding women.
So each woman got 3.13
yeah.
cars.
So a Delhi man has confessed to stealing over 50 cars, which he then gave to each of his 16 girlfriends. Some of the cars he used for his own hobbies. A local news report says the man would change his look when stealing each car. Being bald sometimes, he'd don a different wig each time. I was curious if he changed his look for each of the girlfriends.
Yeah, is that how he had 16 girlfriends?
Yeah. He has a string of known aliases, and he says it took him about 10 minutes each car. So he did this all in one morning.
No.
So that sounds like a Guinness World Record right there.
I would applaud that.
Yeah.
Guinness record.
He stole most of the cars in the
Bigger
early
day
morning.
than Bold and Bossy had.
He was in a fight with all 16 of them. He's like, hold on. I'm gonna make this up to you guys. And he takes off, comes back with 50 cars.
Yeah.
This is why polygamy is such a bad idea.
Right. If you
If
just
he'd
had
been
one wife.
monogamous, he'd only have to steal 5 or 6 cars.
Yeah, like a few
tops.
cars, like three
To
to six.
satisfy her.
That's
Yeah.
legit.
Yeah.
Well, Sri Lanka has banned drunk driving of elephants, not meaning that elephants can
So
no
they're not
longer
the
drive
drunk.
So they're not driving.
You can no
Elephants
longer
can be
They don't
drunk.
have
ride
cars.
an elephant drunkenly.
They have little cars, though. You can't fit an elephant in a car there. Right.
Sri Lanka will issue captive elements with their own biometric identity cards, ban their riders from drinking on the job under a wide-ranging new animal protection law. Many rich Sri Lankans, including Buddhist monks, keep elephants as pets to show off their wealth, but complaints of ill treatment and cruelty are widespread. The new law will require all owners to ensure that animals under their care have new photo identity cards with a DNA stamp? What? That's weird.
That's racist.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Photo ID for elephants. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, how would you tell them apart? Looking at the face, going through customs.
Yeah, is there a
like,
photo ID for the elephant? Yep, elephant. That's why they need the DNA stamp.
That looks like Stinky, all right. Hey, a man discovered a ladybug. That's a common
that's nice.
occurrence.
Oh.
Well, it's
always
beautiful.
It's always
nice to
cute when
find
you
a
walk and you say,
ladybug.
"Oh, there's a
so
ladybug."
Oh, ladybug.
You always stop the kids, like, look at that.
But he found this one living inside his colon.
Well, he didn't find it. It was found.
But well, it says man discovers, so I don't know what he was doing. But
That should really spruce up a colon.
during screening, okay, so yeah, he was have a colonoscopy.
Yeah, they're in there. Okay, let's check it out in here. Oh, ladybug.
Do we have a graphic for this?
There might. I didn't look.
I hope not.
You click on it, you can.
There
see.
is a graphic,
Okay.
and it's graphic.
There's a graphic.
You're looking in this man's colon. I mean,
Yeah,
That's
you-
for
yeah, you're in
subscribers only.
yeah.
But I mean, dwelling ladybug.
But once you get inside the body, it's all.
yeah, it's
all
just all tubes and tunnels.
Yeah.
Made of meat.
Meat tunnels.
Meat
Wait,
tunnels.
we're not-
Flesh tunnels. Remember flesh tunnels?
we have a subscriber dare actually.
Pork
That someone,
mallets.
did you see that subscriber dare someone sent us? They said, "I will subscribe if you never use the term flesh tunnels again."
Oh, lost that guy.
So we just lost that subscriber dare. Maybe next time we'll do that subscriber dare.
All right, we got 2 big mysteries. We'll see if we can crack them right now.
Okay.
First one, loose wallaby captured in Pennsylvania. Origins remain a mystery. So just a mysterious wallaby appeared in Pennsylvania. And then, giant rubber duck's presence in Maine Harbor, a mystery. These were like back-to-back headlines, so I had to put both mysteries.
Yeah.
And the rubber duck, minor detail, was huge, and it had the word joy in all caps written on the side of it.
So someone's just spreading joy, huh?
They're just, no one knows where they came from.
Okay.
It was a
But both are
Christoph-
things that make people happy, so maybe someone's trying to make everybody happy.
It's 25 feet tall. That's a tall yellow duck.
was that
Oh,
dude?
not the wallaby, the rubber duck.
That artist who would like hang random umbrellas stretching 100 miles in the desert. Christoph, I think was his name.
Sure.
Something like that. But he just died. So it
Mary
couldn't
Poppins?
have been him.
Sad.
But that's
It's a
my
Banksy.
guess.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a Banksy.
Yeah, so these could be Banksy's. It's a new kind of really whimsical Banksy guy that's like, wallabies for you. Giant rubber
Giant
duckies
rubber
for
ducks.
you." What'll be next?
Giant wallaby.
A huge hamster in a giant ball.
All right, my turn.
Yeah.
Walrus on Irish coast to get a floating couch after sinking boats. All right.
So basically the walrus is just like resting on people's boats.
Okay.
And
So
he
they're
keeps
getting
sinking
into
them.
floating couch.
So they got him his own. It's really a pontoon that looks like a
I
couch.
keep sinking them.
His name's Wally.
He's like,
Wally the walrus has been spotted resting in
He's-
parked boats along the coast to sink.
he's pulling a Thaddeus on those boats.
Maybe he's a Christian. He's trying to do a sermon illustration.
That's probably it. Probably it. Sank at least 2 vessels. Seal Rescue Ireland said. Wally the walrus proceeded to share the gospel with Seal Rescue, and one dude got saved. Right.
That's what it sounds
Last
like when
part's
they share the
fake
gospel.
Well, we've got one more weird news story for you. And believe it or not, it is a Guinness World Record. Man walks 2.2 miles while balancing a baseball bat on his chin, and that is the Guinness World Record.
And it's our old friend David Rush.
David Rush has. So what is David Rush's talent? Like, is it just balance?
Figuring out how to do a thing no one else does and then doing it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Is it coordination?
Or does he find? We need to interview this guy.
We do need to interview this
Didn't
guy.
you break a Guinness record on this show once? Or at least you thought you did?
Yeah. No, I totally
Came
did.
close, or at least.
No, I totally did.
Right.
I totally broke it.
Was it like the speed of drinking
A Capri Sun.
Capri Sun,
or
that's
something?
right. The
Yeah.
Capri Sun.
But the thing is, like, even if I didn't break it, the fact that I'm like within
That close.
0.01 seconds or whatever of breaking
Still
it,
makes you a big deal.
well, it means that it's a stupid record.
Yeah.
If you can break a record by just going, yeah, I'll break that record,
Sure, I'll try it.
then it's not a record. It's not anything.
Didn't
It's
that
nothing.
segment have the? I'm with you. I agree 100%.
I'm sorry.
But what came out of that was probably one of the greatest lines: the vampire sucking a hamster. Wasn't that?
Thank you.
That was probably him.
That was one of those. I throw in jokes that go completely missed, and then they get mentioned in the comments.
Someone goes, "Hey, nobody listened to what Ethan said." But if we stopped every time he said something like that,
Yeah, no, I like
That would
it.
be 3
I
hours.
like it. That's
It'd
my
be
goal
like
is to
Lord of
sneak
the
it in
Rings.
under the radar.
yeah, sneak it in.
It's my style.
All right, well, that's weird news. Now let's do weird theology.
Oh, this weirdo right here.
So Thaddeus has a book about how free will arguments do not get God off the hook for the problem of evil.
Well, so
Some
you're taking
listeners
God to task on this one.
Are going to be triggered. God reforms hearts, rethinking free will and the problem of evil.
So this could be. Was this like a 9-hour segment? How long is this segment going to be?
The book itself is a 250-page cure for insomnia.
Okay.
Anybody out there just, 3 in the morning and you're binging The Office?
Read a random
survey-
excerpt. There we go.
God Reforms Hearts.
I was just going to read the whole
Deepest REM of your life.
book. Okay, so when we talk to apologists, this is one of the most common arguments that they make when we discuss the problem of free will.
Yep.
Is they'll say, I think to them, free will is the piece of the puzzle that makes everything fit together. To them, it gets God off the hook for evil. It gets, I don't know, maybe I'm playing devil's advocate here. I don't know. It gets God off the hook. It explains God's love. It answers a lot of questions like, what about the man on the desert island who never heard? Those kinds of questions. So I think for a lot of them, it's hard to get over this because to them, it is the linchpin
Yeah.
that hooks it all together.
Yeah, and it was for me for probably my first 10 years as a Christian. And when I started nerding out to apologetics and theology, it was like, yes, this solves it. God wants authentic love. He doesn't want like those creepy Chatty Cathy dolls from the 50s where you pull the string and out comes this pre-programmed, I love you, I love you.
I love you, Thaddeus.
Like you see in old like Twilight Zones, it's a creepy doll with a butcher knife. I love you.
A plug for our animation.
Yeah, recent woke
There you
zone we
go.
did.
Where we have the
woke
CRT
zone.
doll.
CRTina.
Yeah, CRT.
This should be about plugging me, all right? Not
You're
your
being
last segment.
plugged. You're talking.
All right, let's move on. Let's move on to hate mail.
All right,
now.
moving on. So basically, I bought that idea, and there's this common sense appeal to it. God doesn't want robot love. He doesn't want forced love or coerced love. And so when I got into this years and years ago, I started seeing all these passages that just seemed to flat out contradict that. So one of the first ones in Deuteronomy 30, the text says, it's God talking, he says, I will circumcise your heart and cause you to love me. And that seemed like, well, somehow God is able to pull that off.
Yeah, what part does? Never mind.
I don't even know.
Wait,
I had that.
We got to hit pause. We're talking meaty theology.
Oh no.
Are we not? This isn't milk. This is meat. So you guys each have to, by the time I'm done talking about my book, down an entire bag of, you want carne asada?
I don't think
or
he's
Korean?
allowed to eat.
No, I'm on a very strict diet right now, and
I'll
I
eat both.
broke it for the chip, but I'm not breaking it for beef jerky, even though it's my favorite food.
We'll just CG it in later.
Yeah.
You
I could eat both of
eating
them.
it. And
Yeah,
last time,
eat them for me. Eat for two.
last time I saw you eat meat,
Yeah.
sitting right there did not go well.
This is supposed to be green, right?
The infamous
All right,
pork
meaty
mallet
theology.
sketch.
So Lincoln pork followed by meaty theology,
There you go.
or is it beefy theology?
So if I say something meaty, you gotta.
I'm going to sit back from the microphone.
yeah. Well, the jerky's probably not as bad. We were eating these juicy sausages last time.
He was eating the uncooked ones too.
They were
just
cooked. These
no,
guys
they
were.
weren't cooked. So anyway, do we have to have free will? Well, in order for love to be authentic, well, of course, it means it all hinges on what we mean by free will. If I put a gun at Ethan's back and I said, "Say you love me," he'd be like, "I love you, bro," but it's not authentic. It's not genuine love. He just doesn't want to get shot.
So you didn't mean it when I held my gun to you?
No, I did not mean that. If I were to sneak into, I don't know why I'm picking on Ethan. Let's go to Kyle. If I found out, like, here's Kyle's address, and I'm going to sneak into his bedroom at night, and I'm going to, like, install this little brain chip, this artificial affection chip, so that he wakes up.
Like a little
he's
Bluetooth speaker that whispers in his ear all night?
Yes. You love that. That is awesome.
Is sexy.
Love him.
Not that kind of love.
Creepiest segment ever. And you wake up and you're like, must love Thaddeus. He is a cool dude. That we would agree, you don't have free will there, so the love isn't authentic, right? So this is something in the age-old Calvinism-Arminianism controversy that Calvinists and Arminians, instead of being at each other's throats, can actually high-five and say, amen. Neither of us believe that in order to love God, that God puts the gun at our back or that he installs some artificial affection software in our brains. So Calvinists and Arminians both believe in that kind of free will. What in the book I call freedom from the gunman and freedom from the machine. But there's these other kinds of freedom that when I read Scripture, it seems like God can actually so radically transform our hearts, recalibrate our affections so that we love him and really can't do otherwise. And he can pull that off without turning us into chatty Cathy dolls.
So, but you don't know how. You just know that's what he can do, right? We can't understand it.
So what's the difference between God?
You can understand it if you've
So like
experienced
Adam and
it.
Eve, right? Because it seemed like he gave them a choice, but it wasn't really a choice.
It is a choice.
Okay,
Could they
Problem
have chosen
solved.
differently, though?
that is the question.
So that's a problem. So
That was when I had a guy. So we have a friend who's a very hardcore Calvinist, and his argument, which I actually found very compelling, was, the idea that whatever turn you get to, you can go left or right. It's just a mundane decision, and the question is like, would I ever choose differently if you just repeated that? And like, I can't. Why would I? I am me, and I would probably choose the same thing every time because I'm me.
Yeah.
So there is that element that I'm not a Calvinist, but I find the whole debate fascinating.
Whenever I replay a video game like an RPG where you have free choice, I always make the exact same choices. I'm like, I can do whatever I want in this open world. And I create the same character, do the same dialogue options, go to the same place.
Your choose your own adventure books as a kid were like the same story.
I
every
died
time.
on page
15 minutes
3
in,
every
yeah.
time.
Can't get past that third page. What is happening? But no, there is.
without knowledge of your past.
Well, I'm just
Yeah.
So let's get a real world example so it's not too heady. In the book, I talk about Les Chambons. Where's my French? Chambon.
It's like a fighting style.
Southern France. It was this Christian farm town.
Okay.
And Jews are fleeing the SS. Hitler's troops are on the hunt. And so all these Chambonnais start getting knocks on the door from these Jewish refugees. And they ended up saving over 10,000 Jewish lives, these Christian farmers in the south of France during World War II. They'd hide them, and they created this cool network that would get them to Switzerland or somewhere, beyond Hitler's. And so there's a philosopher, a dude named Phil Halley, who went out. He was writing about free will and libertarian free will, compatibilistic free will, all these heady categories. And he went and asked the Chambonnais, did you have the freedom to choose to turn those families away? And these Christian farmers looked at him like, what are you talking about? Like, what else are you going to do? You have a refugee family running from the SS on your doorstep. We couldn't have done otherwise. And so there's this sense in which they couldn't have done otherwise, not because they were forced by the gun, not because they were coerced or predetermined by their brain chemistry or anything like that, But what you were getting at, because of who they were, these French farmers were related to the Huguenots. They had endured persecution. People tried to exterminate them. And so part of their character was such that it was just impossible for them to turn away these families. And so I interviewed, when I was writing the book, one of those Jewish girls who was saved at 10 years old from the Nazis. And I asked her the same question. Her name was Madeline, used to be Rosenstein, which is not the kind of name you want to have when the Nazis are invading France. So she became Madeleine Rousseau, which is just a generic French last name to escape Jewish Nazi detection. And so she said, in her experience being saved by these Christians, that they were just the kind of people that's what you do. And I would argue that's real freedom, the kind that God experiences, not because God is torn 50-50 between like, do I sin, do I not sin? But he's completely free because of who he is. His actions are consistent with his holy character. We will be most free in heaven when we aren't split 50-50, but we're forever liberated from the sin, the magnetism of sin in our hearts. So, yeah, I believe in freedom big time, just the biblical or compatibilistic kind.
So what's the difference between compatibilism and
libertarianism
or hard determinism? Like, how does that? Because I don't get how I guess I have a tough time finding that wiggle room of there's God wrote it all out like a script. Is that what you guys believe?
I do.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah. All things
but
were decreed according to
and
the
we're just
council of
watching
his
it
will.
play out. Is that how we?
But it's different from like hard determinism, because in hard determinism, that's why I gave the creepy examples. If I put a gun at your back, you are determined to say, I love you, man, not because you want to. It's not an authentic expression of your heart. I've bypassed your willpower to force love, thereby making it phony love. If I install that creepy computer chip in Kyle's brain when he's sleeping, I've bypassed his beliefs, his desires, his affections to force his love. And so it's not real. What God does in Deuteronomy 30 when it says he will circumcise our hearts, or what he does in Ezekiel 36 where it says, God the heart surgeon, I'm going to yank the rock out of your chest and replace it with a heart of flesh that keeps his commands, that loves him and loves others. And Jeremiah 29, 30, and 31, God writing his law in our hearts so that we love him. It's just over and over in Scripture you see this theme that God has a unique access to our hearts because he's God, and he has a unique authority over our hearts because he's God to recalibrate our affections so that we love authentically. And that's where it gets confusing, because I can't do that because there's a creator-creature distinction. If I tried to get you guys to love me and force it, I would have to make that love false. But because God's a creator, not a creature, he can pull that off. And I think we know this every time we're on our knees praying. That's how we pray. We don't pray, God, please try to persuade this person so with their autonomous free power, they just might say yes and affirm the cross work of Jesus. No, we pray. J.I. Packer famously said, on our feet we disagree, but on our knees we're all Calvinists. In the sense that we pray as if God is actually sovereign enough to answer those prayers to change people's hearts. So there. Just kidding.
I'm the worst person to debate on this because I'm like, okay, sure, whatever.
Let's get Patrick in here.
And we need like a hard.
Let's get a good
free
Roman
willer
Catholic in here.
This thing comes with a flosser.
Isn't that awesome? Mm-hmm. There you go.
So I don't, but I kind of see what you're saying. What?
Where'd you get the floss from?
It came out of it.
That's what I
Came
said.
with
It can't look
It does.
flosser included.
Flosser.
It's true.
He's just flossing his flosser over here.
Bro, I don't. I get what you're saying. So there's this is this a script, and I get when Calvinists say, and I am a Calvinist, but I get when Calvinists say we don't believe in determinism, or like hard determinism. We don't believe that God holds a gun to your head. And I get the argument of it's not like when someone gets saved, they're like, I don't want to say yes. And they're getting dragged to the altar, no. It's like, yes, Lord, I love you. No. It's like there is a change of the heart that comes.
Yeah.
I guess it is hard to see the distinction though between that and irresistible grace, where you are changed despite any choice of your own.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
Checkmate,
for me, check and mate. So for me, when I was doing the research years and years ago, I was also professoring at Biola, and I got to see all of this sort of click, where here's all the nerdy book stuff I'm doing, and here's what it looks like in real life. And so I had a student who we'll call Bob, and Bob was a porn addict. Did I tell this story before on here? I don't think so.
That was on the secret episode.
I think last time it was the neo-Nazi.
You got the neo-Nazi in there, yeah.
So this student, Bob, he wrote me just the most bleeding heart, vulnerable email ever, confessing his 10-year pornography addiction. Hits send, like with trembling finger, and a week goes by, and I don't respond. 2 weeks go by, I don't respond. 3 weeks go by, and he comes up to me after one of my classes. He's like, hey, man, like that was the hardest email I've ever written. Did you want to bother, at least acknowledging my existence? So it turns out he sent it to ThaddeusWilliams@gmail.com, which is the email address I couldn't get because some other Thaddeus Williams has it. Hence, mine is ThaddeusJWilliams@gmail.com. So some Thaddeus Williams out there opens his morning email like, doo-doo-doo. Oh, wow. Like, here's a 10-page novel.
I think I'd say it went to spam because of the word porn was in there so much.
No. Some Thaddeus Williams.
That actually happened to me once. That
someone else you were
someone
sending
sent me an
confession?
email like that.
Oh, really?
Like this, massive. Like they were trying to talk to their Bible study leader or small group leader or something, and they accidentally sent it to me.
And it was super vulnerable.
Yeah, like with this massive, very oh boy.
I did
Hey, buddy, I think you sent this to the wrong person.
I ran a college group one time where we were pretty tight knit, and everybody shared how are we going to be praying for each other's sins? And so some dude was taking notes on everybody's sins and posted it to Facebook as now we all remember so we can pray for each other, but he left it public. Oops. So it's
Oh, dear.
talk about your all-time backfires. So anyway, this student sends the email. You haven't responded. Oh, yeah, drop the J in there, ThaddeusJWilliams@gmail. I promise I'll get back to you. Your all-time backfires. I felt terrible for the kid. So he does. I read it. We get together that week. And the advice I gave him was, what are we calling him? Bob?
Bob.
I said, Bob, despair. That's my best advice to you is despair. You've been trying to fight this for 10 years. You've got all the internet filters. You got all the accountability groups. But, he would set an internet filter and then turn his head and type a random code so that he couldn't hack it. And then within 3 days, he'd become a world-class hacker and managed to get the exact combination of random buttons so that he could get back to his porn.
There was an upside.
So, yeah, he learned. His hacking skills really grew during that period.
That's how he took down terrorist cell of hackers.
What man meant for evil.
He's the man who later found Osama bin Laden using those hacking skills. So,
the man's name was Bill Gates.
That man's name was Mark Zuckerberg. So, anyway, I tell him, despair. You've been trying to fight this on your own willpower for 10 plus years. You told me it's only getting worse. So let's try something radically different. And so I took him through 1 Thessalonians, I think it's chapter 3, verse 12, where Paul is writing to the church in Thessalonica who struggled with the Greek word porneia, sexual immorality. And Paul doesn't say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps or go start, get an online filter or anything like that. He says, may God cause you to increase and abound in love. May God cause you to increase and abound in love. And what struck me reading that is a few things. Number one, the premise of the prayer is that God's actually sovereign enough to answer it. God can cause us to love without turning us into robots. And number two, it really exposes porn addiction for what it really is. It's not just, you're looking at pictures. It's a failure to love. Why? Because pornography strips the imago Dei, the image of God, out of somebody. So they're literally just an image. Mm-hmm. It flattens them out into two dimensions. which there's all kinds of science on this. It actually tweaks your brain chemistry, so you start treating people in real life as two-dimension rather than as multi-dimensional image bearers of God. So Paul's diagnosing porneia for what it is, a failure to love, and his solution isn't self-help spirituality. It's may God cause you to increase and abound in love. And so by his second letter to the Thessalonians, the first chapter, he says, praise be to God and Father, because you are, and he uses the same phrase from the first letter, you are increasing and abounding in love. God actually has the sovereignty over our hearts to answer those prayers. So that's what I told the student. I said, we're just going to pray that for you for the next week. I'll commit to praying that for you every day. Pray it for yourself, and let's just see what happens. So fast forward, next week in my theology class, Bob shows up, and I will tell you guys, I didn't even recognize him. Like before that, you could just tell this dude, he was like in a cartoon with this cloud following him everywhere. He couldn't really look you in the eye. He just had a gloom and doom about him. You could tell he was super lonesome and spent way too much time on Pornhub or whatever. But when he showed up to class that next week...
Bleep the name of that website. No.
When he showed up that next week, man, it was like catching a glimpse of the real Bob. Like there was just a glow about him. Like what an old school King James Bible would call your countenance, right? That the external appearance of your soul's interior state, his countenance was different. And so I knew before he even came up to talk to me that God had shown up, the Holy Spirit had answered that prayer. And so he comes up to me, and the way he described it was exactly like this. He said, Thad, I'm so filled up to the brim with the Holy Spirit that there's just no room left for the porn. I just don't need it in my life. Because whatever itch I was trying to scratch with pornography, whatever hole I was trying to fill, like I'm satisfied because I'm filled to the brim enjoying God. So there's just no room for that in my life anymore. Now that's one story that I have seen play out. That was years and years ago, probably 8 years ago. That has happened every single semester at Biola University in my ministry, where God shows up. And so for me, it's not just let's have an abstract Calvinism Arminianism debate. The biblical teaching that God is sovereign enough to cause us to love without making us robots is something that I see setting people free every single semester. So there you go. That's my sermon for the day.
If you want to learn more, you can get Thaddeus Williams, God Reforms Hearts.
It's very NPR.
I don't know. Yeah, I was trying to.
So lackluster. If you want to learn more, you can get Thaddeus Williams, God Reforms Hearts.
God Reformed Hearts.
Use code Flesh Tunnels to save 5%. Wow. Okay. Well, do you want to continue this discussion in the subscriber portion? Because
dive in a little more if you want, or we can
whatever you want. It's up to you guys.
Because it's there's a lot more to talk about. We didn't even touch on our notes. We're talking.
I mean, it's safe to say we solved the problem of evil,
right.
And the
there's
free
nothing
will
more to
problem,
say. So
I think we're good.
We'll just talk about our favorite Marvel movies in the subscriber portion. Then.
Oh yeah.
Let's go to hate mail.
Hate mail.
Hey, sorry to interrupt that hilarious podcast that you were just listening to, but my buddy Ethan and I here were thinking you might not be a Babylon Bee subscriber, and we need to correct that.
Yeah, in fact, I could smell it in the room. It smells like a non-subscriber in here.
Or is that cow farts?
Could be cow farts.
I can't tell.
Hey, if you subscribe, you get this giant, awesome, beautiful coffee table book full of beautiful images.
What?
And hilarious stories.
Premium subscribers get this for a limited time, which is crazy because this book is like half the cost of a Babylon
It's
Bee
like a brick of
subscription
gold.
anyway. And yeah, it's awesome.
So you get a coupon code for cheaper merchandise. You get to be part of the community. The advantages are endless to be a Babylon Bee subscriber.
Literally infinite.
Oh, you get our bloopers from our...
Oh, yeah, those are really fun.
Those are hilarious. A gas. So please,
Yeah,
go to babylonbee.com/plans.
subscribe.
Become one of the elite.
The few.
The Babylon Bees.
I really miss Adam Ford.
So this is this is borderline hate mail.
It's kind of weird mail.
These are people who just chain blast a bunch of accounts that they think, I don't know, need to hear this, or maybe that would spread this idea. I don't know. We get some wackos. I think it was similar. Remember the guy that wrote the headline submission or the poem, the satire about the squeegees falling down the thing?
I love that one.
Yeah, it's great. And it's like he just like blasts it to a bunch of accounts.
If you're new to the podcast, go back and find that. It might be our second episode or fourth.
It was a very
or something.
early one. We did Rejected Babylon Bee
Rejected headlines, and there's some gold in there.
Just absolute gold.
You've rejected every headline I've ever sent you. Some of those were good.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, maybe we can split those up into
Almost
three.
pretty much every headline I've been submitted by anybody. I get some big names now
Just
and then.
ignore.
Kyle gets the
Possible to
biggest.
please. I'm going to install some Love Thad headlines software in your brain.
All right. Well, why don't you want me to take the first like paragraph, and then you could take the
I'll take
second
turns.
bit, and you could take. Okay, here we go. We need to face facts. Our insurrectionists are Taliban promoters. Just like their Republican Party, they will endure any abashment to gain a perceived advantage, no matter how detrimental to their cause in the long run.
How long till they invite their homophobic, misogynistic brethren in their battle against libtards here in the America? Wake the duck up. This is war here in America, and there exists no compromise with these self-righteous clock suckers.
I can't follow that. Arm yourselves to the gills and prepare for war. It is here now. I hate the Democrats. I'm surprised they didn't put Democrats.
Or demon craps.
Rats.
Demon rats.
Demon craps. Because they refuse to kill a snake when they see it to save themselves. We will wait and see. Dun, dun, dun.
C is all caps, so it'll be, we will wait and see.
Wow. It was powerful.
There's a lot of
I
different
moved.
capitalizations in there, so it's kind of like a comic book. They like bold certain words so you know how to read it.
Yeah.
And it's
very
just random.
powerful.
It's totally arbitrary.
Bam.
The Republic
Did you get
KKK
the-
party, they will endure any abashment. I think they mean abasement to gain a percentage. That's just, man.
So what's the gist of this message? Did anybody get the
I
gist
think
of it?
this is a liberal. This is a liberal.
Is it a liberal? But they hate the Democrats? Because they're losing their...
I hate the Democrats.
They're mad at the Democrats for not killing all the
They're
Republicans.
just pissed at everything.
I think.
They're very upset.
But then
a little poetic.
But then they want everybody to arm themselves. Doesn't sound like a Democrat.
It's so confusing.
I don't know.
But
Please,
they use
can you
libtards.
Send it back.
Yeah.
Or send it a follow-up, please.
Please clarify.
Yeah, just to clarify.
We should reply to this email.
Who are the
Send us-
libtard?
yeah.
I'm sorry.
We should get in... That should be the hate mail thing. We should
Where are
start
you coming
talking
from
about
with this?
correspondences. All right.
We have some good ones where Seth replies.
We could
And
write
go
a
back and
reply
forth.
right now
Yeah.
on the show.
Okay. I'm going to do
Can
that.
you find it?
Yeah.
So we need to ask,
this?
please clarify the Republic Clan Party.
Okay, I'm going to reply.
You might want to check your K button. You keep
Hi.
accidentally...
His name is
Hitting it 3
His name
times.
is Tiger. Hi,
Tiger. Oh, okay.
Hi, Tiger.
Hey there, Tiger.
Ask him where he stands on Calvinism.
Thank
A few questions for you.
Thank you for your thoughtful correspondence. We appreciate the feedback and input. However, we are not 100% sure what you are talking about.
Can we get the elevator pitch?
Can you please clarify?
Yeah.
Explain like we are 5.
We need
Regards.
the nutshell? Yeah.
I'm going to make up a name because I'm not going to say my name because you'll probably come to my house and turn me into a lampshade.
But yeah,
What,
there's also a podcast of you on YouTube writing the
That's
email.
true. Regards, Gilbert.
You're going to get
Hieronymus.
doxxed.
Gilbert.
Regards, Gilbert.
How long till they invite their It's not even homophobic. It's homophobic.
Homophobic.
Well, tune in next week for the exciting conclusion of what Tiger says back to us.
It's a cliffhanger.
And
right.
with that, that's a show. So let's
That is a
go.
show.
We're going to go to the subscriber lounge and we're going to hang out. And Thaddeus is going to tell us cool stories. And, you know, his best story when he bombed teaching a class.
Every day.
Maybe talk some more about free will and favorite Marvel movies.
Fantastic.
Or not. We've also got bonus hate mail and subscriber submitted headlines and all kinds of fun stuff. So let's do it.
Let's go have fun with all these guys
Fantastic.
sitting
Oh,
here.
dude, kick them out.
Kick
Go
them
eat
out.
some more jerky.
Hey, do we have the YouTube subscription now? Is that an option yet?
It's not out
okay,
yet,
not yet, okay.
but it is coming. We're going to be having a paid YouTube subscription.
Yeah, so you can actually
get
pay for a
membership.
YouTube exclusive subscription and get the subscribe portion on YouTube.
All right.
Someday soon.
All right, well, signing off, Kyle, Bold, Bossy, and we're bucking our jockey.
Bucking the Jeep.
Coming up next for Babylon Bee subscribers.
A giant millstone just lands on her and crushes her whole body into the ground.
You're reading this to your children? Let me just call CPS real quick.
It's a classic fairy tale children were told in the beginning of time.
That's actually pretty smart. Is like when people they try to create a holiday to sell a book, like the Elf on the Shelf thing.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you know that a fun tradition is buying our elf book for $29.99.
Wondering what they'll say next? The rest of this podcast is in our super exclusive premium subscriber lounge. Go to babylonbee.com/plans for full-length ad-free podcasts. Kyle and Ethan would like to thank Seth Dillon for paying the bills, Adam Ford for creating their job, the other writers for tirelessly pitching headlines, the subscribers, and you, the listener. Until next time, this is Dave D'Andrea, the voice of the Babylon Bee.